Now it's clearing to a pasture. Short. And
Got in on
I found it, and just when I picked it up, it said battery dead.
Well, there's no sense in.
So,
Just
Squeaking by.
just made it.
get it on.
Apply common sense and call it a day.
I guess we'll go by the clock on the wall
Yeah,
because
it's
I'm
close
showing.
enough. Yeah, I'm showing it's right there. There we go.
If I can have all of your attention, we're getting ready to have the meeting. Carla, if you would please call roll.
Mark Arnold.
Here.
Cody Haney.
Here.
Jeff Helm.
Here.
Marvin Kusick.
Here.
Eddie Mack.
Here.
Cole Ream.
Here.
Don Roberts.
Here.
Don Rose.
Here.
Jim Straight.
Here.
You have a full house today.
Thank you very much, Carla.
Welcome.
We have we've got a quorum, so I hereby call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Enid Garfield County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission to order. First item on the agenda is to consider the approval of the minutes from the November 16th, 2015 regular meeting.
I'll make that motion. And we approve.
I have a motion to approve,
I'll second.
and I have a second. Carla, did you get that?
Yes.
I have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion is unanimous. Item number 2 is to consider a rezoning for property described as lots 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in Block 4 in Garden Subdivision of the southwest quarter of Section 30, Township 23 North, Range 6 west of the Indian Meridian, located north of the North Van Buren Bypass and 518 West Purdue. Carla?
This is part of P&K Equipment's property. You'll see that this is P&K right here. They own this property, and they own this property. They're displaying their farm machinery for sale. And they received a letter from the code office about this property not being zoned commercial. So when they approached us, we just said, let's just rezone both properties so you're in compliance with the zoning regulations. And you'll see that they have all their regular required parking on their existing lot. So this is just for the display of their equipment. Have any questions?
Anybody's okay with that? Do I have a motion?
Move.
Second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve item 2 for the rezoning. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that motion is unanimous. Okay, item number 3 is to consider a sidewalk variance for 5201 Ritchie Avenue, which is also known as Lot 3, Block 3, West Evandale Edition. Carla?
Okay, Mr. Rogers owns this property at 5201 Ritchie. He's made application for a building permit. That, of course, has required the sidewalk. And if you'll see here, I did not put those photos in the presentation. Sorry. He has a slight ditch in the area. I think you should have a photo in your packet of the property. And there should also be a site plan of his property. He's asking for a variance not to build that sidewalk.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve the variance.
Second.
And I have a second. All those in favor of approving the variance for item 3, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And show that as unanimous. Item number 4 is to consider a sidewalk variance for 3026 Chelsea Court, which is also known as Lot 6, Block 9, Willow West, 4th Edition. Carla?
You'll see that this is labeled as 3026 Chelsea Court. They have made application for a building permit. The house is about finished. And when you come this way, you go up a little slight hill and then down a hill. So right here on this, she's got quite a hill. She's asking not to build the sidewalk. There are some other vacant lots in the area. We do have an application for variance on this one that will be in the January meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance, and once again, back to the same thing with this ordinance, that we continue to try in existing residential neighborhoods. This just doesn't work. I know they're talking about looking at this ordinance again, but it's too hard to force or tax or however you want to say our citizenry to put these expensive sidewalks in locations where they just don't work, and they'll never link up. And without a sidewalk linking to another one, you don't really have anything.
And we just had a house completed according to the application in April, and it does not have one. I don't know which house it was, so.
Who was my second? Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the sidewalk variance for item number 4. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
I have one nay and
Thank you.
7, 8, can't count.
8.
Okay. Okay, item number 5 is to consider a sidewalk variance for 2725 North Adams, which is also known as lots 28, 29, and 30, block 11, Midway Edition. Carla?
They have made application to put a new trace in the spot. You'll see that this is basically mobile homes in this area. This lot here is vacant. And we're requesting not to put in the sidewalk.
Motion to accept not putting in the sidewalk.
Okay?
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the variance, is that correct? Okay, motion and a second to approve the variance for item number 5. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Those opposed? And that is unanimous.
And
I guess
just,
I might
just,
ask, David, do you have any comment? I mean, I know last time you all are still saying you're no longer going to make these variances. Do you see it changing, or are we just going to be faced with this?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the council's position is going to end up being on this. You know, if we just keep granting these variances, they're never going to link up, for sure. And particularly in these semi-new neighborhoods, I mean, the Willow West, there's 10 empty lots within stone's throw of the one we just approved variance for. So we're going to have to make a decision whether we think it's good for this community to have sidewalks around or not. And I don't know the answer to that yet.
and we did do this slide just for your information. Just kind of shows you where the variances have been. The green dots are kind of hard to see, but that's where you've granted them, kind of on the outskirts. This one here was for Jack's Outdoor. That's the only one that's kind of in the center of town, but everything else has been on the outskirts of that, you know, the city, so. Right.
I don't know, you know, when you start at 60 foot at a time trying to take how many hundreds of miles of streets that we've got, and we're gonna, I mean, 1,000 years to link them all up. I mean,
Right.
it's just not a realistic.
And then your sidewalk only has a life of, you know, so many
Exactly.
years.
Exactly. I mean, it just, they don't, the thought that they'll all link up someday is just not realistic.
Thank you all. Okay, let's go on to item 6. Consider reducing the speed limit on Cleveland Street from 45 to 35 between Chestnut Avenue to Willow Road.
Okay,
Paula?
we had a request from the police department. There was some confusion as to what the speed limit was going northbound and southbound on Cleveland. Since they've done some development with the Walmart, the apartments are starting their construction. Of course, we're gonna have some development on the east side of Cleveland. We went and drove this, and here we have, from Garriott all the way to Chestnut is 35, and then there it transitions to 45, and then goes back to 35 for a period up to, I think that's Edgewood. And with that development there, We think that the 35 is more appropriate since it's only 2-lane. You've got lots of traffic as the apartments get completed. You're going to have lots and lots of traffic in that area. So we've suggested that they reduce the speed to 35.
I think that 45 was probably left over from way back when there wasn't a lot of traffic through, well, there's always been traffic, but not a lot of building and development in there. It's been there for quite a while, I believe. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Seems like it makes sense.
I would make a motion to recommend that.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the 35 mile an hour speed limit. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that motion is unanimous. And item number 7 is to consider approval of an application for a capital recovery for a sanitary sewer improvement by the city of Enid, known as Southwest Enid Basin 2F SSD number 1506. Carla? Oh, excuse me.
Yeah,
Robert?
Chairman, Commissioners, I'd like to present the application for sanitary sewer capital recovery extension in the southwest part of Enid. I have presented this before for general information, but this is the actual application. And go right into it. Capital recovery ordinance, which is established by Chapter 10, or Title 10, Chapter 4 of the Enid Municipal Code, sets out procedure for public improvements, in this case sanitary sewers, that can be made, and that the excess capacity that's provided by that improvement can be used by other users, and the cost can be recovered by the developer, or in this case, the city of Enid is acting as the developer of this line. So the developer and the city of Enid can develop a system here, a sanitary sewer extension, build it, and then going through the proper procedures for this application, applying for approval to recover the cost in the future when developers or other property owners want to tie on and make use of that line. But there's no fee or cost until that occurs. Again, I want to locate where the project is at. I have shown here on the map, this is Garland Road running north and south, and Garrett Road on the top of the map. The sanitary sewer extension is shown starting about a quarter-mile east of Garland at the half-mile line and running west to about approximately a half-mile west of Garland, in more or less east-west direction along the half-mile line. And that is about 3,900 feet of sanitary sewer, 12-inch sanitary sewer line. This photo shows the Walmart store top, and to the right of that, the Lowe's facility. A little background, it is a 12-inch line being extended to provide for full capacity, about 3,900 feet. The estimated cost for the construction, right-of-way, and design is $497,920. It's a little lower than what we brought to you at the last meeting because we've incorporated in the actual bid cost into this estimate. The area it serves is 368.59 acres, but it's not really based on the acres, it's based on the use that would occur on this line. The peak flow capacity provided by the 12-inch line for this area is 558.61 gallons per minute. That means at the peak flow, when everybody's tied in and flowing at their peak rate, there is 558 gallons per minute of capacity in this system. At least that's the design numbers. Again, I want to locate, this is a map that just locates the area. Again, here is Garland in the center and Garrett to the north. The line location is in the center location per the previous slide. This shows the sanitary that are around the area. And the next slide, again, this is Garland running north-south, Garrett to the north. Sewer line starts right here, and this is the boundary. The next slide shows the boundary of the basin that would be served by the 12-inch line. You can see it goes up around the Walmart side up to Garrett, over to almost Wheat Ridge, down to about a quarter-mile north of Roop, and then back to Garland and back up, and serves a little area to the east of Garland Road. Again, this incorporates about 20, let's see, we have about 61 acres in the center, which is a regional detention facility, is not included in the acreage because it is a public facility and will not make use of sanitary sewer system. However, I'll point out if that land were to develop and a sanitary sewer connection would be made there for some reason, they would be required to participate, or that cost would be accounted for at that time, regardless of the area. Okay. Again, fees are not collected until there is a future use. In other words, for the developer or owner that wants to tie into the system, then fees would be assessed at that time based on their part of the peak flow capacity they would take up. It says a 20-year term. That stays in place for the 20-year term after acceptance of project. And the estimated, just to point out, the estimated cost on the line is $891.36 per gallon per minute rate of peak flow capacity. And to give you a little example of what that is, the ordinance does set what those peak flow capacities are for certain units. And here we show a single-family resident, based on what the ordinance sets for their peak flow capacity, would have a fee of approximately $588.05 to connect to the system. And we also have a fee for hotel units, based on those number of units, a little lower at $247.60. And apartments we have in schools is based on per student. Assemblies based on per person. And hospitals are based per bed. And in all others, it's $891.36 per gallon per minute of peak capacity flow. In other words, for other commercial, industrial, restaurants, et cetera, they'd have to provide an analysis and a study of their discharge, and based on that, it'd be assessed a fee based on their discharge rate. Yes?
You mentioned future users. Are you talking about also there's existing facilities in the area that can hook up to it?
Yeah, future users are landowners that would tie to the system. They could be existing facilities and structures. They could be new facilities. The fee is collected when you connect and make use of the system, regardless if you're existing existing structure or future structure. If your existing structure already has sanitary sewer service, then it probably doesn't apply, but otherwise it would. Okay. The application before you is from the city of Enid. We did use Envirotech Engineering Services with the actual design engineer laying out the system. It is a 12-inch line, and it's in Basin 2F, which is basically basin outlined earlier. Again, the cost is estimated at $497,920, and that, based on the allowable capacity, gives us a rate of $891.36 per gallon, cost per gallon per minute of peak flow.
Estimated time when they'd reach that peak flow, like 10 years down the road, 20?
No, the peak flow, the flow rate is based, would be reached when no, there isn't a time rate on it. It's the system has that much capacity, and based on how fast the area develops, depends on when the line would reach its full capacity. And
that's what I'm asking. Should you be putting in a 14 or 16? So it just all depends on how much. They didn't do an estimate of how fast it's going to develop or how many people it's going to hook in.
If, to answer it, the first thing is the line it disconnects into is a 12-inch line. So we have a provision that prohibits us from upsizing the line in advance. And the second part of that is a good point. Probably by the time this line would ever reach its full capacity, then we'd have to consider relief lines in the downstream system anyway, so you have to consider a relief line here. I don't know, and it's questionable if it ever reach its full capacity, because this is the limit of the basin, or pretty close to the limit of the basin. Okay? It ties in 12-inch downstream, so you can't really upsize it because you can't, we have a provision that prohibits upsizing telescoping sanitary sewers because of the problems it creates. And the other thing is, yeah, most likely this sewer, time the sewer would reach its full capacity, be developed to that level, it'd be time to come in and put a second relief line in any case. Actions, to cover the actions that have occurred and be followed up. Of course, you have the application before you. You have the application before you. The notice on the capital recovery we have done a preliminary notice to landowners of this meeting, maybe some here tonight, to hear the discussion. Plans and specifications are prepared and a part of the application are in place. The project has actually been bid and preparing to go through construction. City Commission will review the application upon the Planning Commission's review. And then our next step will be to file the final cost estimates after the improvements in place, after completion, construction is complete. And then at that point, City Commission will be in a position to approve a resolution establishing the district, establishing the cost, and setting the fees. And then there'll be a final notice that will be placed to the property owners and filed with the county land records of their obligation to participate with the cost if they should so use the line. Is there any questions? If I can help it.
Robert, when are we expecting this line to be completed? Is it April or May?
Line was going to construction probably the first of the year, and I think it has a, it has a 90-day contract, so yes, January, February, March, April.
So that's the time frame you'll be coming back with some of these things to the MAPC and ultimately the commission?
Yes, we'd come back, that'd be a time we'd probably come back to the City Commission. This application will go forward to the City Commission for their review, and then upon completion of the project and filing final cost, completing change order, and accepting the project, then we come back with a resolution establishing the fees and approving the final plans. Thank you.
Everybody okay with what Mr. Hipp had to say? I believe our action would be to consider approval.
I'll motion to approve.
Second that.
I have a motion and a second to consider approval, or to approve the application for the capital recovery for the sanitary sewer. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that motion is unanimous. Which brings us to item number 8, which is adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Oh, I got two of them jump on that. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All those opposed? We're adjourned.
Yeah, it's just, you hope you.